Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, please make sure to subscribe, press the notification button for future videos and like this video. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make an applique on a baby t-shirt. This is what I'm going to be doing today. Is a frozen character with a number 5. This is a previous customer, but it's going to be a number 5 and a different name. So I'm going to be showing you that the process on how to, I set up the machine and how I cut the fabric and everything else, the order that you have to follow to make something like this. So let's start the process. Let's start by showing you how I put the t-shirt on the hoop. So I'm using, this is it's a mighty hoop. It's a magnetic hoop, and I like to use this because it's easier to set the t-shirt and to keep it in place for registration purposes. So I'm using a 100% cotton shirt. This is a baby shirt. You need to make sure that whichever t-shirt you're using or shirt you're using is thick enough, especially for embroidery. Otherwise you're gonna have issues doing the sewing, having holes, poking holes through and things like that. So let me show you. So with this magnetic hoop you have to be careful because it has a very strong magnet, so you don't want to put it close to your cell phone, computer and stuff like that. So what I do, let me just make sure you can see that. 1 second. Yeah, that should be good. So I basically place the side that doesn't have the magnet inside the shirt, just like this. I mean, you probably can do this with a different, I have the regular embroider hoops like this, but this you have to actually open and close and it leave. I noticed that with those it leave a mark on the t-shirt. With this one it does as well, but not as bad as the other one. So what we're gonna do is just try to make sure it's in the center. So if you have a heat press or an iron, you can fold the shirt in half and iron it, and then that way you have a line in the middle. But with this small shirt I don't think that's needed. So I try to make sure that it's center, and once that's done I will grab my magnetic hoop and I will drop it on top of the shirt. You just need to be careful that you don't pinch your fingers. So I go like this and that's it, and then I go stretch the fabric just a little bit just to make sure that I have enough tension. And you don't have to do this too much because the idea of the whole thing is that it keeps the fabric in place with the correct registration. So when the machine is embroidering, you don't have a mess, in the stitches, and they stay in place. All right, so that is it. This is how basically it just looks like when it's completed. So the next thing is I'm gonna set this in the machine. I have a brother entrepreneur. This is the PR 1050 embroidery machine. So let me go ahead and show you here how I connect it and everything. Let me just put it right here. That should be good. So just make sure that when you set out your shirt, you don't sew your machine on the bottom as well. Alright, and then for this type of sewing, most people recommend to use tearaway stabilizer. Actually, they recommend the cutaway stabilizer. I use tearaway, it works for me, and then that's what I'm going to be using today. So let me place that. I don't use any type of glue or adhesive I just place it underneath, and the machine will start sewing. When the machine starts sewing, it will keep it in place. So let me show you that a little bit closer. Probably from the front, so you can kind of see that. So I just place the tearaway stabilizer under the hoop. This is of course in between, you know, the top of the shirt and the bottom. You need to make sure that it's that way, so you don't sew it on both sides. And then that's it. So that's how I set the hoop with the shirt. And then the next thing now is gonna be of course on the machine. I will show you very quick here how is that set up, so you have an idea what it's gonna do. Just bring this back. One second, guys. Let me just bring this. So I already have the design in place. So basically it's going to be a number 5 with the snowflakes, 2 different colors, the name of the person, but it's a very simple applique design. So the first thing the machine is going to do, right here I have the colors. So because it's an applique, you need to make sure that you have it stopped on your on the number 5, which is the applique. So for that, on this particular machine, I press the hand right here. If you notice, the hand appears when you press on it, so that indicates that the machine will stop after the first placing stitch. So the first is going to be a mark, like a sketch around the whole shape of number 5, and then the machine will stop. That will allow you to give you a reference where the side, so to cut the fabric, and you can put it in place. So once that's done, you bring the hook back to the machine, and then we'll start doing the second part, which is a placing stitch. It will basically sew the fabric on the t-shirt and keep it in place. So I'm also going to add a stop on that as well, so that's what is there. And then, you know, the machine will stop. I get the hoop out, I cut the trim, I cut the excess of fabric around the 5, right? And then I bring the hoop back, connect it again, and then the last pass is going to be a satin stitch. And then I don't have any stop here because I will, you know, there's no need for that. You will let the machine run the whole sequence, and then once that's done, the machine will continue with the rest of the design, which does not require any stop. So you will see that it will do the purple snowflakes, and then after that's done, it will move to the blue snowflakes. Then it will do this kind of like this design, the center, these lines, and then lastly we'll do the name at the end. So just make sure you have the right colors. I have a 10 needle machine, so I already configured that to match the color that I need to. It's only going to be 2 colors this design. Then press OK, and then my design is ready to go. So that will be now the next step to do. So let me just bring this back. Okay, so let me show you so you have an idea of how long this is going to take. Hopefully you can see that there, but it's going to take about 28 minutes, the sewing, you know, the embroidery time. Of course this is going to be more than 28 because it doesn't count for the time that it takes to remove the hoop and, you know, do all the trimming, cuttings and everything else. It's roughly, you know, 15,395 stitches, 2 different colors. We're ready to go. So let's just start with the first part of the design, which is the number 5. So let me just focus this here. Let me just press the start button to start sewing. Alright guys, so like I mentioned before, this is gonna be just a layout of the number 5, which will allow us to cut the fabric in the close to the side of the shape, and then so we're gonna do that right now. So the machine will stop there. Alright, and now that's gonna give us time to remove the hoop and continue with the rest of the process. So let me go ahead and bring this back, and what I'm gonna show you guys is next step will be to cut the fabric. So this is gonna be a frozen character. So let me show you just that portion of the procedure. So I tried to have I used the previous t-shirt as a reference because I already did that. So I'm trying just to get the face of Elsa in the number 5. So let's go ahead and do that. I just need to cut a small portion. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure that when you're doing the character, you just have the side that you need to do. And then we're gonna go ahead, because this needs to go on the fabric, you need to make sure it has like an adhesive underneath. And then so I'm gonna use this right here. It's called heat bond. So what heat bond does is, you know, it has like heats it on both sides. You heat it and it will stick to the fabric, and then once you're done on the other side, you will heat it at the end of the design, the end of the embroidery design, so it will stick to the fabric. So I'm just gonna cut a small portion of this. Once again, this is heat bond. You can buy the whole roll on Amazon for like $50, I think. You can have that reference right there. And then let me make sure that I had enough. Yes, that should be enough. So I actually cut a little too much, so let me just remove this section. I think I just made a mistake here. Let me cut another piece. Sorry about that. Alright. One second, guys. Let me just make sure that I have this cut to the right side. Alright, and then this is the part that I want you to see. So I'm just gonna add, if you notice on one side of this is kind of like rough, on the other side smooth, so you want to use the rough side against the fabric on the back side of the fabric. And then I will be using a heat press, and I had it set at 300 Fahrenheit. We're gonna do that for 5 seconds. I just show you in a moment how that's done, but that's basically what I'm doing. Just putting this on the back side of the fabric. Let me show you now on the heat press. I have it set at 300 Fahrenheit, and it's only gonna be 5 seconds. So I'm gonna use some Teflon sheet just to prevent the any of the sticky part to mess up my heat press. This is hot. So now you're gonna peel just like that, and I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but it's kind of like shiny. All this part in the back is shiny. That part will adhere to the fabric when we complete the design and we heat it again. So we're gonna go ahead and place that on the shape of the number 5, and then continue with the sewing. So just make sure that you are you know that the character is where you need it to be, so the placement is important here. So make sure you have that as as close as possible. So I'm gonna try to give it an angle here because I want to make sure that her face is covering the design. And I think probably that's gonna be the best I can do for now. This is the part that takes a little time, but just take your time to do this. You don't want to rush this because this is the most important part on the design, the applique. So let's unlock and let's continue. So we'll do the second pass. This will basically hold the fabric in place, and then the machine will stop. At that point we will trim the excess of fabric. Alright, so let's remove this. Let me just bring the camera back, guys, so you can see right here what I'm gonna do. So you can see now this. I'm using this scissor. You can find at Joann or Amazon. If you notice, it have a curvature. This is useful because it's easier to cut, and you don't have allows you to cut in an angle, so you don't cut through the fabric. So what I'm gonna do now is just cut the excess of fabric around. So now this part, it's gonna take you a while at the beginning when you're starting embroidering and doing applique, but once you get practice, you will do this a lot faster. So just make sure you cut close, very close to the stitch, but not too much, so it won't come apart when the machine is doing the embroidery. Alright, so almost halfway down. And then I think I mentioned this, but once we complete the design, we will heat it up again for 5 seconds so that the heat bond will stick, the design with the fabric will stick to the t-shirt, and you don't have bubbles or that gap in between the two fabrics. Alright, now when you're getting close to the sometimes you're gonna have designs that are very, very tight in the corners, so you just need to make sure that you cut as much as you can, but don't get too close to the that you have to get as close as you can to the corners, so you don't have the fabric showing when you're doing the satin stitch. Alright, that's it. So we just finished the first part, and we're gonna let the machine continue with the embroidering. So let's put the hoop back. Then 1 second, guys. So we'll move the camera shortly. So now let's just make sure that the t-shirt is set up correctly and the way one saw on top of the underneath, and so the both sides of the t-shirt. So that is good. Let's go ahead and press start and continue. So this is the phase where it will do a satin stitch. It takes a while, so I'm probably going to speed out the process for this particular phase or stage of the design, and then we'll continue with the rest. Alright, and that is the full design has been completed. So the next step will be to just cut the excess of threadway and thread and go ahead and put the tender touch. So let me do that and I'll show you the process. So that's the final design. Let's go ahead and do the rest. 1 second. So at this point, I'm just going to remove it from the hoop. This is the easiest part. We just need to carefully remove the threadway. So I just cut the corners just to help me start, and then I just hold the fabric down so I don't, break any of the stitches. Let me see if I. Get as close as you can with one finger. You get close to the stitches and hold, and with the next one you start tearing away. You don't want to do the center where the number is. You just do the corners. Alright. And then if there is any threads or you see any imperfections you'd like to remove, you can do that as well. Alright, so I think let's try to get these sections right here. Almost done, guys. This part you just need to take your time, because if it's not done correctly you want to have pockets and it's gonna see through when you put a tender touch on. So the last step will be just removing the threads. Alright. I think that's it. I have here is Tender Touch. You can find also this roll on Amazon. I don't remember the price, but it's also very affordable. And then you cut a piece and put on top of the design. There's gonna be one side that's gonna be soft, and the other side is gonna be kind of like rough. So the rough side, of course, you're gonna put against the fabric. Sorry, towards the fabric, and then the soft part is gonna be the one facing out. And then you put that in the heat press as well for 5 seconds at 300 Fahrenheit. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I like to press the t-shirt first, just to make sure there's no wrinkles, get everything flat. And then once that's done, I put the Tender Touch. So I also put the Teflon shape on top of it. 5 seconds. Make sure there is no wrinkles, and then go ahead and put the Tender Touch. Press again for another 5 seconds. Alright, and then I'm gonna heat it up again, but this time the front of this design, so that the heat and bond that we apply to the fabric can become one piece with the fabric and the t-shirt. And that's it, guys. This is the whole process. As you can see, perfect. Came out perfect. The whole applique part, the stitching, everything just perfect. No wrinkles. So the top part that you see here, the marks, this is because of the hoop. That you're gonna see that very often. With some of the embroideries, with the Mari hoop, that mark is not as bad as with the other hoop, but once you wash this, you should be fine. So this is it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you like the video. Please make sure to subscribe, press the notification button for future content video that I will be posting in the next few weeks. Thumbs up on the video. Thank you guys.